Morning, Ms. Hanks. How are you doing?
Morning, how are you?
Doing well. I'm John Kirtley. I'm the Director of the State Board of Pharmacy. I'm going to tell you a couple of things about our procedure and who you're talking to this morning. On this side of the table, we're staff members that work here full-time at the Board of Pharmacy. Myself, Dr. Brenda McCready is our Assistant Director. Ms. Ashley Vales is our attorney. On the other side, you've got four of our pharmacy board members that are decision makers here today. We have Dr. Clint Boone, Dr. Lenore Newsom, who's the chair of our informal conference, Dr. Brian Jolly, and Dr. Rodney Richmond. We're here today because you have an application, I believe, to be a pharmacy technician in the state of Arkansas. You did not let us know that anything would come back, and something did, which is why you're here to talk to the board members today. In a few minutes, they're going to ask you some questions. They're going to want to talk to you about your application and why you didn't disclose what we found. And at some point, they're going to make a decision or have a suggested decision. We call this an informal conference because you have the opportunity to agree or disagree with whatever they come up with.
Yes,
if you
sir.
agree with it, then at that point, we just go forth with whatever they've asked us to do. If you disagree with it, it's kind of your chance to either say, forget this and walk away, or to appeal and ask for a hearing before the full board at a later date. A full hearing is a little bit more of a formal process where there's all 8 board members, a hearing officer, a court reporter, everybody swears in, and it just feels a little bit more like going to court or something. So always ask, do you know why you're here today?
Yes, sir.
Have any questions about how this works?
No, sir.
If at any point you change your mind on that, if you do have a question or you've never been here before, if something's confusing and you want some clarification, wave your hands, get our attention. We'll try to help answer any questions we have.
Yes, sir.
Or that you have, excuse me. That I'll turn it over to Ms. Vales for an overview.
Committee members, we brought Ms. Hanks in on her pharmacy tech registration application. She did not disclose any arrests or convictions on her application, but we found there's 2. On January 2nd, 2023, she was arrested for domestic battery third, a Class A misdemeanor. She was found guilty on not guilty on May 11th. She didn't disclose the arrest. And then on May 19th, 2019, she was arrested for criminal trespass. She did not appear in court and she didn't pay her fines as she was ordered to do. So a warrant was issued for her arrest. She then later appeared in court and was ordered to pay those fines again, and she paid in full again on May 12th, 2021. Again, that arrest was not disclosed. So that is what brought her before us today.
All right. Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Good morning.
Good. Can you tell us a little bit in your own words of what happened in these incidences, please?
Yes, ma'am. And I do want to thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to speak today. I understand there are concerns about my past, and I'd like to explain those circumstances and show how I've taken responsibility and moved forward. In a past incident at home, after a conflict with my mother, I called 911 for assistance. Upon arrival, the responding officer acted aggressively, leading to a confrontation between the officer and my mom. During the event, my belongings were mishandled by the officer, causing me to use profanity towards him. As a result, I was charged with trespassing because my mother no longer wanted me in the home. Due to my age and circumstances, I was able to address the fine immediately, which later resulted in a court notice. I resolved the matter by paying the fines in full, and the case is then closed. In 2022, while staying temporarily with an acquaintance, a friend of mine, a dispute over unpaid rent escalated into a physical altercation. The individual became aggressive and even threatened me with a weapon. After calling 911, it took 30 to 45 minutes for officers to arrive, during which she called others to come over at that point to hold my belongings hostage and record me to cause embarrassment. Upon arrival, the officer spoke to her and the others that were in the home as well with her. Then asked if I had anywhere else to go. I did not, and I responded honestly that I did not have anywhere else to go. So he arranged for my belongings to be stored with her relatives that stayed next door to us at the time. He then offered to take me to the hospital for a hand injury that I had, specifically my ring finger. While there, he photographed me for his report and informed me I was being taken to Pulaski County Jail, which is, I was quite confused because I didn't know at that exact moment that I was being arrested. I was thinking that I was being transported to the hospital to take care of this injury. I was booked and held for 2 days before appearing before a judge who stated there was a protective order in place. For the next 6 months, I was harassed by that individual that I stayed in a home with and individuals related to her. But I complied with the order and documented each incident. Specifically, a video recorded at a bowling alley in which she and the others that were in the home admitted to teaming up on me while being intoxicated and described the events in detail. At trial, she did not appear the first time. The second time at court, she testified, and I was given the opportunity to present my side of the story as well. Despite repeated interruptions from her, the judge ordered her to remain silent and immediately found me not guilty, and this case was closed. I do really appreciate you guys for giving me this opportunity to address these matters today, and I'm really committed to moving forward with integrity.
And why do you want to be a pharmacy technician?
Can I really be honest with you?
Mhm.
When I was young, I tried to take my own life. And I'm talking about so many different over-the-counter medicines, from cough syrups to pills to anything that I could get my hands on. From that point on, it was just like thinking of the aftermath, the exact experience that I went through of trying to commit suicide, which isn't okay. But like I said, it was the aftermath. I started paying attention then, maybe like years later when I grew up, then to understand exactly what I was doing. But it made sense to me, the side effects, the timing of it reached my body, just as well as I have family members within my family that are pharmacists. I hate to say that I took inspiration on wanting to be a pharmacist off me wanting to commit suicide, but I don't know, it opened my eyes. To me, it gave me another chance in life and made me see life different. I have tried other careers, but this is like something that I'm really set for. I think it fits me.
And so you're at a good point in your life right now?
Yes, ma'am.
And what are you currently doing?
I am currently a full-time worker at Amazon. I'm also enrolled in school. I just graduated with my associates at Pulaski Technical College. I plan to transfer and further my career, but I'm waiting for Amazon to make me full-time to go ahead and pay for in full the rest of schooling.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
On your degree.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any other questions with this candidate?
What's your associate's degree in?
It is within my basics, liberal arts and science with a concentration of chemistry.
Okay. And what are you wanting to focus on?
I want to major in chemistry.
Okay. What do you want to be a teacher? Do you want to work in the industry?
I prefer to be a pharmacist, but I don't mind just getting my feet wet and just being a technician.
Okay. So these two instances, were either of these fueled by the use of drugs or alcohol on your part?
No, sir.
Okay. And why did you not disclose them on your application? Because the application says, have you ever been cited, charged, arrested, convicted? All of those, and you said no on both of them. Why did you not disclose them?
Yes, sir. I misunderstood the statement. Usually, like when applying for an application or even just a job application, it asks you, have you ever been convicted of a crime or such? But because my fines were paid in full and also I wasn't found not guilty, I took that as I wasn't, committed to this crime or I did no wrong.
Okay. It's important in pharmacy that you take things literal.
Yes, sir, most
And
definitely.
so just be sure to be very careful that if you get a technician license, that you need to be sure that you interpret things in a literal way.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Dr. Boone?
Okay. Make a motion to approve.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve this applicant. Any further questions or discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes.
I
Good
thank
luck.
you guys so
luck.
much. Oh, my goodness.
and keep going.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
you've got the potential.
Yes, ma'am.
Unless you want to disagree with
I have, can I go back to that question?
it.
Sorry. Would you say that it's important to maybe get my record sealed or is it expunged? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
If there's an opportunity to do that, it is advantageous. Some place, like if you were going to be a school teacher and applying to be a licensed school teacher in the state, they would still see that, just
Mhm.
like we would still see it. But for many other things, it would basically be blind at that point.
So
for
another
the
quick
public.
question. I'm so sorry to interrupt you. Before I started working at Amazon, I was previously a paraprofessional over at Maumelle High School.
Hmm.
They never said anything about it.
But I don't know if it's the same for a paraprofessional as it is for getting your
teacher.
actual teaching
Yes, sir.
certificate.
Yes, sir.
And if it comes up again, like on another license, like Dr. Kirtley was saying, still answer yes on that.
Yeah.
Because we'll see it and it's a lot better to just say, yes, here's the explanation of what happened.
Most
Stay ahead of
definitely.
it.
Yep.
Yes, sir. I thank you guys again.
Good luck.
Mine's the same. That will be under tab 3, everybody. How you doing, Miss Christmas?
I'm fine. How you doing?
Doing well. I'm John Kirtley. I'm the director of the pharmacy board. I'm going to tell you kind of who all you're talking to this morning and a few things about our procedure. On this side of the table, we are full-time staff members here at the office for the board. Myself, Dr. Brenda McCready is our assistant director. Miss Ashley Bales is our attorney. On the other side, we have 4 of our pharmacy board members that are decision makers here for you today. We have Dr. Clint Boone, Dr. Lenore Newsom, who's the chair of our informal conference, Dr. Brian Jolly, and Dr. Rodney Richmond. We're here today that you have a pharmacy technician application. I believe that you have sent in to us. Is that correct? Yes.
Yes.
It looks a little bit different on our screen because you filled it out electronically. But in that, it looks like you told us that nothing would come back. But then we did have something come back the board members are going to want to talk to you about, which is kind of why you're here today. During this process, at some point, they're going to, ask you about your application, ask you why you didn't tell us about that, and then they'll make some suggestion for a decision.
Okay.
Since this is called an informal conference, you could either agree or disagree with whatever decision that they come up with. If it's something that you agree to, we go forth with whatever the board members have asked us to do. If it's something you disagree with, you can basically kind of say, forget this and walk away, or you could request a full hearing before the board at a future date. It's not a decision you have to make sitting right there today. I usually tell people a full hearing is just a more formal process where it'll be all 8 board members. There'd be a hearing officer sitting here instead of me, a court reporter, and we swear everyone in like witnesses. It just looks a lot more like going to court versus us having a conversation back and forth across the table. So I always ask, do you know why you're here today?
Yes.
Do you have any questions about how this works?
No, not at the moment.
And that's a great way to put it. At any point during this, if you go, hold up, I'm confused because I realize you've not sat in that chair before, wave your arms, get our attention. We'll try to help answer any questions that you have.
Okay.
Okay, we'll turn it over to Ms. Bales.
Committee members, we brought Miss Christmas in for consideration today. She did not disclose any arrests or citations on her application, but there are 3. On February 26, 2008, she was arrested and charged with battery, a Class B misdemeanor in the state of Kansas. According to her statement that you have there on your tablet, she was fighting with someone who was fighting her brother. She was 18 years old at the time of the offense. She went to court and pled guilty and was sentenced to 30 days jail suspended and $100 fine and court costs. Then on February 7th, 2010, she was charged with 3 counts of theft. According to the affidavit from law enforcement, she and another person were concealing clothing in Dillard's and not paying for the items. She went to court and was convicted and sentenced to 12 months probation and to pay fines and court costs, and she completed probation successfully. Then on June 15, 2012, she was charged with operating a vehicle without a license and failure to report a traffic accident. Those are misdemeanors, and she pled no contest and was convicted of she was sentenced to 5 days jail suspended and a $250 fine and court cost. And there was no disclosure on the rest, so that brings her in front of you today.
All right, good morning, how are you doing?
Good morning, how you doing?
All right. You want to tell us a little bit about these three incidences, please?
The first one, I was in high school and my brother had a fight and some guys was jumping him and then I had jumped in and to help my brother and I had got in trouble for that and got the battery charge. The second one, I was in the mall shopping and doing something that I shouldn't have been doing and got arrested and paid my fines and stuff and everything. And on the last one, I was learning how to drive and hit a vehicle and failed to report it. And the police officer had came to my sister's house and gave me a ticket and then told me what I needed to do from that point on. And then I went ahead and paid my fines and stuff off during that time.
Okay. What brings you to the world of pharmacy?
I wanted to do something different. I work at International Paper in Conway, and I just wanted to have a better career.
Okay. And you haven't been in any other trouble since this?
I haven't had any reoccurrences.
And you learn your lessons?
Yes, ma'am.
Does any other board members have any comments?
Were any of these charges fueled by drug or alcohol use on your part?
No, sir.
I would make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further questions? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes. You'll get your license.
Thank you.
don't agree with it.
No, I agree.
Okay. For our board members, this is just how it looks when we have to kind of manually print those applications.
Ashley, if I don't know if thank you goes to you, but thank you for the summaries.
Oh, yeah.
Has had a flat tire issue. I'll see Wilson.
Ingram's here.
Yes,
Ms. Ingram, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing okay. Kind of a little rocky, but I got it together.
Well, and not to make light of it at all, but I imagine it could be worse. Half of us saw a flipped over car on our way to work, so I'm glad that wasn't you.
I was almost there. I had a flat.
Oh. Well, that's terrible. Well, hey, I'm John Kirtley. I'm the director of the Board of Pharmacy. I'm going to tell you kind of who you're speaking with this morning and a couple things about our procedure.
Mhm.
On this side of the table, we are full-time staff members here at the Board of Pharmacy. Myself, Dr. Brenda McCready is our assistant director here in the office. Miss Ashley Bales is our attorney and legal counsel.
Mhm.
On the other side of the table, we've got 4 of our pharmacy board members that are decision makers here today for you. I've got Dr. Clint Boone, Dr. Lenore Newsom, who's the chair of our informal conference, Dr. Brian Jolly, and Dr. Rodney Richmond. On your background, we have an application to be a pharmacy technician in the state of Arkansas, and you told us that nothing would come back on that, but we found some stuff. So here in a couple minutes, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Bales to give the board an overview, and then the board members are going to talk to you about, what was found and why you didn't tell us about it. In this process, at some point, they're going to come up with a suggested decision that you can either agree or disagree with. If
Okay.
you agree with whatever they come up with, then we go forth and do whatever they've asked us to do as staff. If you disagree, it's kind of your chance to say, forget this and walk away from it, or to request a formal hearing before the full board at a later date. Formal hearing is all 8 board members. Instead of me sitting here, it'd be a hearing officer kind of running the meeting. Court reporter, you swear everybody in as witnesses, and it's just a more formal procedure similar to going to court. So I always ask, do you know why you're here today?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions about how this works?
No.
At any point during this, realizing you have not sat in that chair before, if you've got a question about what's going on or need some clarification, by all means, stop us, wave your hand, get our attention, ask your question. We'll do our best to help answer it.
Yes, sir.
That I'll turn over to Ms. Bales.
We have brought Ms. Ingram in for consideration today. She did not disclose any arrest or charges on her application. There are 3. On June 16, 2014, she was arrested for domestic battery in the 3rd degree, a Class A misdemeanor. On August 5th, 2014, she went to court and the judge left her case open for her to complete domestic violence classes. She failed to appear in court to report on that back in July 30th of 2015, so a warrant was issued and she was served with the warrant. And then on August 12, 2016, that case was dismissed. On January 8, 2018, she was charged and arrested for criminal attempt to commit forgery and possession of an instrument of a crime. The cases were transferred to circuit court. And then on June 20th, 2018, she entered a negotiated plea of guilty to instrument of a crime, which is the Class A misdemeanor. And she was sentenced to 12 months probation and to pay fines and court costs. Then on September 25th, 2003, she was charged and arrested for failure to appear on traffic offenses, and she was ordered to pay $628 in fines and court costs on those.
Gonna turn it on. You want to tell us in your own words, what happened on
Okay.
these incidences?
With the domestic charge, I was in an abusive relationship. Oh, Lord, it's very. I was in an abusive relationship and
he tried to throw me down the stairs, so I didn't have a choice but to defend myself, and I threw a picture frame at him and then cut his back, and the police said the only reason why I had to go to jail is because he had marks on him. And then with the forgery, it was I had fictitious tags. I didn't know that they was like it was gonna be as a forgery. I didn't know it was like with the state or whatever. And I didn't tell the I didn't tell the police officer who made the tags for me. So he said he was gonna take me to jail with that. And with the traffic, I mean, it's traffic. So I don't know. I don't remember what the traffic one was for in 2023. And I didn't put that down because I was told once I finished my probation and once I finished my classes, then it wasn't going to show up on my record. So, because it was my first offense. So I didn't know. And when I do my background to do my CNA, it never shows up. So I didn't figure I had anything on my background.
When you do your, what did you say?
My CNA, because we have to do a background check for CNA, so it never shows up. I've never got denied for a job, so I didn't think that it was going to be on my background. I didn't think it was on my background. I've been doing CNA since 2020.
Is that what you're currently doing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And why to change the pharmacy?
It was just something that I want to do to get up higher into the medical field.
Where are you working as a CNA?
I worked at Robinson, I worked at Woodland Hills, I worked at College Lane. And I also did home health care for Miss LaShandra, and those are the only ones I stayed at. Robinson. Robinson was my longest one I stayed at the longest.
I have a question about that fictitious tags. So did you have somebody make the stickers for your license or what was that about?
It was the paper tags.
The paper tags?
They worked for the dealership. I guess they didn't do it at the dealership. He must have did it at his house because I told the police, you know what I'm saying, where he made them, but he said they wasn't real. And so I just never told him the person who actually did it for me because he actually someone that was on Facebook. And so I just never told him who it was.
Okay.
What exactly is an instrument of a crime?
Well, it's not applicable in this case, I guess, but usually that's like if you have drugs and then you have like a pipe, that pipe is an instrument of a crime. In this case,
Tag
the
itself
tags
being
probably
fictitious.
are the instrument
Okay.
or the stickers, something related to that would be the instrument of a crime.
So I have a question. Did you buy the vehicle from him and he make tags, or did you know that he was making the
I
tags?
bought it from him. He had like his own little dealership. It's not like a Landers or one of those. It's just like one off the road type. Let me see, I'm trying to think of one. It's one in it's North Little Rock. It's off the road type. It's not actually a Landers
So it's
or
not like an
Carrboro.
individual that sells cars?
Yes.
And how long did you have those fictitious tags on your
I
car?
only had them for like a month. Like after my originals had expired, I only had it.
One theme that I see coming through on a couple of these is that you failed to appear. Why did you not show up?
I mean, most of the time I do have work and then I'll forget. And I mean, it wasn't like intentionally to not go. It's sometimes I just forget.
In pharmacy, it's important that you follow through and that you do the things that you're asked or told that you need to do.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Any other questions or comments for this candidate?
Now, is everything paid up and in full? All the fines and court costs of September 23 that she's ordered to pay, but is that all resolved? You know, if those court costs or everything from the failure to appear.
I was asking you. Honestly, I don't know. I'm not even gonna just sit there and act like I do. I don't know because I did just get another ticket for speeding, so I do have to go look and see about that ticket. So I can ask them if it's paid out, but I know I did complete my probation. I did pay the fines and everything that I was supposed to pay. So that's why I don't really know what the traffic offense was.
How do we find that information?
I think you'd ask her to provide proof of it
Okay,
if you were interested in doing anything else.
At the time we ran her background check, there wasn't any warrants out for her arrest for, you
Okay.
could presume not paying if there would be a warrant issued, but I'm looking for a date when we ran it and I don't know where that is.
Should be right around the time it was actually submitted, so it should have been March.
Yeah. Yeah, March 24th, we ran it. That time it didn't show any warrants, but that necessarily means she doesn't owe anything.
If you wanted to prove, you'd have her, obtain a letter from the court showing that all fines are paid in full
For each offense.
for each issue.
I would think the 2023 one would be the one that might,
Yeah,
if anything was there. And I'm not concerned about the speeding ticket since then. That's not.
unless you don't appear.
Yeah, right. Go appear for that. But I'd make a motion to approve, pending that we can show that 2023, September 2023 fines and court costs have been paid.
I'll second the motion.
Yeah, I've got a note that if the motion passes, we'll.
okay. Any more questions? So we got that, the motion is, to approve is dependent upon you getting that information to us? Okay. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes. So, you've got to get that information to get it to the board before you can get a license.
Okay.
All right.
And then get that other one taken care of.
Yes, sir.
I just put a note on it. Pending proof. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You working today?
Yeah.
I see you have your uniform on. Yeah.
Here you went, Lenora.
You gotta say that for later today.
And we did set a little bit earlier break time, because sometimes all three of them show up and it takes 40 minutes and sometimes one of them shows up and it takes 45 minutes. But we do have a hard start back time this afternoon at 1 for our public hearing. Sure.
Good morning, everybody.
This for Bullion?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Good morning. How are y'all?
All right, Mr. Bullion, I'm John Kirtley. I'm the Director of the Board of Pharmacy. I'm going to tell you kind of who you're talking to this morning and a few things about our procedure. On this side of the table, we are all staff members here at the Board of Pharmacy. Myself, Dr. Brenda McCready is our Assistant Director. Ms. Ashley Vales is our Attorney and Legal Counsel. On the other side of the table, we have 4 Pharmacy Board members with us today. Dr. Clint Boone, Dr. Lenora Newsom, who is the Chair of our Informal Conference, Dr. Brian Jolly, and Dr. Rodney Richmond. On this, we have an application for you as a pharmacy technician in the state of Arkansas. And you told us that nothing would come back, but stuff actually did come back, which is a problem for us. In that, in a moment, I'll turn it over to Ms. Vales to tell us what did come back on your criminal background check. And then the board members are going to want to talk to you about why you did not disclose that. And then they'll at some point come up with a decision on what they want to do with your application. Since this is an informal conference, you could either agree or disagree with their decision. If you disagree with their decision, it's kind of your chance to say, forget this and walk away from being a pharmacy technician, or you would have the opportunity to request a hearing before the full board at a later date. That is a formal hearing, which would have all 8 pharmacy board members. There'd be a hearing officer sitting here, a court reporter. You swear everybody in as witnesses, and it is much more like actually going to court as a practice. I always ask, do you know why you're here today?
Yes, sir.
Have any questions about how this works?
No, sir.
If that changes, realizing you have not sat in that chair before, if you've got a question about something that's going on, raise your hand, get our attention, ask us any questions you have, and we'll try to do our best to answer them.
Sure. Thank you.
That I'll turn to Ms. Bales.
And we brought Mr. Bouillon in before the committee today. He did not disclose any arrests or charges on his application. There is one that came back, and it's from December 23rd of 2016. He was arrested for distribution or possession of a Schedule II controlled substance, possession of Schedule IV controlled substance, and possession of marijuana, and failure to stop at a stop sign. These were out of the state of Louisiana. The charges were sent to the district attorney's diversion program on February 21st, 2017. Records reflect on May 27, 2018, he was revoked from the diversion court and entered a plea of not guilty. But then on July 28, 2020, the state made a motion to null pros the case because he successfully completed the diversion program. So that is why we brought him in here today.
Yes, ma'am. So, I was fresh out of high school. I was raised by my grandparents, first of all, not to give you my whole life story, but, I was hanging around the wrong crowd of friends in high school. And, one day I picked up a friend of mine, and I was unaware of what he had on his person. But we were in my car. We get pulled over for not stopping at a stop sign. And he has said things on him and slides them underneath the passenger seat that he is sitting in, sorry. And so we get pulled over, and he tells them that it's mine. And I tell them that it's his, as it is. But since it's my car, I'm the one that has to be responsible for it. And I was not aware of the contents of what was on the person. So therefore I was booked, and, I did everything I could to, plead my case and do what I can to get that taken care of. I went through the diversion program. I submitted a drug test once a month for almost 2 years. After that, I tried to get record of that, but I wasn't able to do that in time. And so, yeah, so after that happened, I ended up losing both my parents, very shortly after that. And it was, my understanding with the district attorney that, I would not have to disclose that on anything. And that's what I was told. And, I haven't on anything, and it's never come up until now. So that's the reason for that. It's not that I was trying to, sneak something by. That's what I was told by, the courts. And that's just what I went by. And I apologize that I did not disclose that to you. And then I ended up moving to Arkansas. So, ever since then, I haven't been in any sort of trouble or been around anything or you know, and I'm engaged to be married, and I've worked in a pharmacy for almost a year now. And it's something that I love and I'm passionate about. And so that's
Okay.
my story.
You see, you're working in the pharmacy in what capacity?
I'm a clerk.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I'm observing, I'm learning, I'm, you know, absorbing things without actually doing anything.
Gotcha.
I had a question about your diversion program, because I looked at the records and it looked like at some point you had been revoked from the diversion program and then you entered a plea of not guilty, but then it looks like you completed it. So was there a time where you messed up in the diversion program?
No, ma'am, it wasn't that. I'm not really sure what the lapse is. I'd have to get with the district attorney on that, but I mean, it was pretty straightforward. I was in it the whole time. There was never any slip ups or
Okay.
anything.
I just looked like on May
Yes, ma'am.
27th. I don't know what happened there. I couldn't tell, but it did say that you entered a plea of not guilty.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that had something to do with like, I'm not really sure, but there was never any lapse of time or slip ups or anything like
So
that.
what did you have to do as part of the diversion program? Drug screens and anything else?
Drug screens, community service, pay hefty fines. But yeah, drug screens once a month, every month.
Okay. And what were the circumstances around you getting arrested for it in the first place? If you said it was a friend's
Yes.
stuff?
Yes, ma'am. I had picked a friend up. We were driving around town, and I was not aware of what he had on his person. And
Was anything in the car?
it was in his pocket, and he slid it underneath his passenger seat of my car. So it was in the car. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you were the driver or the passenger?
I was the driver. It was in my car. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So then they held you responsible for what was in your car?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Because at that point, it's I said it's his, he said it's mine. So I'm the driver. So therefore I take the fall.
And so there was more than one drug in the car?
Marijuana. I think he had some Xanax of some sort on him.
Okay.
Do you currently or have you smoked marijuana?
No, ma'am.
No medical marijuana card?
No, ma'am. I don't have any.
So you said that this came about because you rolled through a stop sign?
Yes, sir.
So what was the probable cause to enter the car and inspect the car and find the drugs to start with?
He asked me if he could search the car, and I said, yes, sir, absolutely. I don't have anything to, you know what I mean? I wanted to be compliant. So I said, yes, sir, absolutely. I have no problem with that.
So you've never possessed controlled substances?
I've had marijuana on me before, prior to that, but nothing, not on me, no.
And you've never distributed controlled substances?
Yes, sir.
And this occurred 9 years ago?
Yes, sir.
Nothing since then?
No, sir.
You realize this is a big deal?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
I have another question. Does your employer know about this on your background?
Yes, ma'am, I did let them know.
Where do you work?
Smith Drug and Compounding.
Any other questions? What are the wishes of the board?
If I take a chance on you, you're not gonna make a fool out of me, right?
No, sir, absolutely not.
Because I don't want to see you back here or
No, sir.
anything about this.
No, sir.
I'll make a motion that we grant his license.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Oh. You all have something?
We just need him to add his date of birth to his original application.
Got you. All right. Okay, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Any nays? The motion passes.
Thank you.
You put your place of birth instead of your date of birth, as I
Okay.
city.
Sorry, I apologize. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you. Yes, ma'am.
Morning.
All right, how are you doing this morning?
It could be better.
I understand. I'm John Kirtley. I'm the director of the pharmacy board. I'm gonna tell you kind of who you're talking with this morning at this table and a couple things about this procedure.
Okay.
On this side of the table, we are staff members here in the board offices. Myself, Dr. Brenda McCready is our assistant director. Miss Ashley Vales is our legal counsel and attorney. On the other side of the table, we have 4 of our pharmacy board members that are decision makers here for you today. We have Dr. Clint Boone. We have Dr. Lenore Newsom, who is the chair of our informal committee. We have Dr. Brian Jolly and Dr. Rodney Richmond. We're here today. You submitted an application to be a pharmacy technician in the state of Arkansas, and you did let us know some stuff would pop back on that. So thank you for being proactive and letting us know that. In a moment, I will get Ms. Bales to give the board members an overview of what they're seeing in the applications, because they're just now seeing it on their little tablets this morning. And then they're going to have a discussion with you about that. At some point, they're going to have a suggested decision. Since it's an informal, it's something you would either be able to agree or disagree with. If something you agree with, then we just go forth whatever the board members have asked us to do. If you don't agree with it, it's not a decision you have to make sitting right there today. But it kind of gives you the choice to either say, forget this, walk away from it, and just be done with it, or to request a formal hearing before the board at a future date. That formal hearing would be all 8 board members, a hearing officer sitting here, generally a court reporter. You swear everybody in as witnesses, and it's just a more formal procedure like you would see in court, rather than us kind of having a conversation back and forth across the table.
Okay.
So I always ask, you know why you're here today?
I do.
Do you have any questions about how this works?
The only thing I have a question about is it does state on the front of this that I was denied my registration at an informal conference. I did not show up to that conference.
Yes, so it was denied. It was due to the no-show, but because you re-engaged with us, we gave you the opportunity to come back to a different informal conference since we didn't have that response. So that's just in case your name rang a bell that someone saw it on an appointment list or something before, you're back here for that today.
Okay.
If you have any other questions during this, realizing you have not been in front of the informal conference before, by all means, wave your hands, get our attention, ask any questions you've got, and we'll do our best to help answer them.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Bales?
We brought Miss Wilson in for consideration. She did disclose on her application that there would be something come back on her background. There were 2 items. On June 9, 2016, she was arrested and charged with interference with law enforcement by submitting a false report or false information to law enforcement. That's a Class A misdemeanor. On August 4, 2016, she pled guilty to the charges and was sentenced to 12 months jail, suspended, and to pay fines and court costs. Then on October 30th, 2016, she was arrested and charged with possession of methamphetamine, possession of drug paraphernalia, no driver's license, and improper lane change. She entered a plea of guilty to the improper lane change, and the drug offenses were dismissed. She was sentenced to pay fine and court costs on that lane change violation. And as already discussed, she was denied her pharmacy technician registration at the informal conference on January 22nd of 2020. And the history was the same then with regard to her criminal background. She did disclose it on her application then as well.
The obstruction, I did in fact plead guilty to. I did lie to an officer about what had happened during a vehicle accident. I was not even in the vehicle. I was not even at the scene of the accident when it had occurred. At that point in time, I was in a domestic violence relationship. And so he had requested that I told them that the officer I was driving, and I did that. That's what happened with that one. On the October 30th with the possession of methamphetamines, I have never used any type of methamphetamine in my life. The same boyfriend I was with, he had left things in my car that I was unaware of. And when I got pulled over, they searched it. And that's when I also found out he had been going to a drug dealer's house and all this and that. I didn't know anything about that. They dismissed it in court. They did charge him with it though, when they picked him up.
So what are you currently doing?
Currently, I had just finished the certification for pharmacy technician, and I was in the process of looking for a job and waiting for my approval to come back from the board.
So you stuck with pharmacy, was it 5 years ago? You were here? You used to have to come back?
She did not. She
I
did
did
not.
not.
no.
Did not come in. Okay, all right. But you still have that interest?
I do. I was a pharmacy technician in the state of Michigan. I did hold a license there.
Okay. And what about the people you're keeping company with now?
I do not associate with any of those people. I moved away from where I was, all the way down here from Topeka, Kansas.
Did you do your training for your tech certification in Kansas, or did you do it? Have you not been able to do it yet, or
I did everything here.
what? So generally they have you actually doing hands-on training. Where were you able to do that?
Oh, so it didn't request that.
Okay, so you just did the classroom one.
Right.
Okay.
So where were you living during 2016 when these things happened?
Abilene, Kansas.
You were in Kansas, okay. And then the event that happened in October, November timeframe with the methamphetamine, did you continue to associate with your boyfriend after this occurred?
I ended up leaving the entire relationship a few months later.
Okay.
It would have been April the following year. I finally left because he was arrested for domestic violence.
Is that when you moved down to Arkansas or was it?
I moved out of Arkansas in 2018. It was October.
Okay.
No, 17, I'm sorry.
17, okay.
You said you were licensed in Michigan as a technician.
Yes,
Were any actions taken against your license, or you just let it lapse because you moved?
I let it lapse because I moved out of Michigan.
Why are you wanting to get back in the profession?
It's the only job I've actually enjoyed doing.
Do you have any prospective employers or have you?
Mercy Hospital in Fort Smith.
Reason for the denial was just no show.
Well, it was
They
the,
present the.
yeah, back in 2020, generally, the board would go ahead and consider the application if there's a no-show. We try to do as good a job as we can of not putting them on your agenda if we haven't heard back from them. I'd have to go back and look at that if we'd heard back, or if it was just, we send letters like you're scheduled for this date, whereas now we say, do you want to appear? And if we don't hear back from you, we don't put you on the schedule. So I don't know which exactly happened back then.
Well, that plus at that time, this would have been fairly.
It would have been a whole lot fresher.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What do y'all think? I'm leaning toward approving, but have any concerns?
I mean, my only concern would be a pass denial, but if it was just a no-show, that would.
I think since the methamphetamine charges were dropped and it just ended up being basically a traffic violation, I'm comfortable making a motion to approve.
Okay. Do I get a second?
Second.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes. You're gonna get your chance.
Unless you don't want to agree with them.
No, I completely agree with that. Thank you guys so much.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay. Got a break? All right. I'll go ahead and pass these down. You guys should have it received via email, but this is my potential proposed policy for that act. If you guys have any other feedback, I did highlight a line there in the first paragraph. You'll see just to point out that that was the original plan, but that aspect is on hold by federal court in that, which I think is a related act. So I won't do anything with it until it actually changes in the court. And then I often will highlight, like, review this act. If you're going to be in this process, review this act so you understand it. I'm also printing off copies where you guys have just the salient portions of the proposed rule changes that are changing, as well as in the packet, I have an included part for BLR and for the public comment of like on page 20 through 24. This is the subsection that's being changed and exactly what's doing it. So you'll have an explanation and the markup language you can see side by side as a simplified packet instead of the 250 pages that we have to submit for this. I'll also ask you today at 1 o'clock if you will support the drug summit again. We in Hot Springs again this year. We're looking at potential other venues for next year to kind of move it around some. But for clinical section, I'm going to talk along with Jamie Turpin and talk about just some updates and different things. Jamie is going to help give some overviews and bullets of different ways to use PDMP. And there's some actually really neat tools in there. A lot of people don't realize, either as prescribers or dispensers, that if you just do a general request, you'll see generally like 2 years of data. But if you check, I should explain it better than I can, you can actually see further back data than just 2 years, which is often very helpful, especially for both pharmacists and for prescribers. And then I've got 30 minutes set aside to not be CE, but to do naloxone training for the room and have some naloxone that will be available for anyone that does not have it and would be interested. I think that I've got about 100 doses dedicated for people that don't already have naloxone or would be interested in obtaining it during the meeting. And then I've got Michael Monet going to come in and talk about ethics of treating people in like substance use disorder, disease stuff, which I think is going to be really good. Where she's a good friend of mine. I know several of you know him, and I think he'll do a great job with his both pharmacist and attorney hats dealing with this stuff for years.
Can we go ahead and just make a motion on the drug summit?
Well, I get full board to do it just in case anybody said it, but I figured that's the easiest question I ask you pretty much every year.
I would agree.
Oh, I've got a question. What about travel funding?
So we're having to apply for each individual meeting at this point. So we've, we got a couple of us approved to go to Maltagon. I think we've got District 6, 7, 8 in the works to try to get approval for that. But I know it's going to be tighter this year as far as the approval process. I've been able to get approval for like a couple of meetings where the travel was sponsored or partially sponsored by other people, which most of my travel, it seems like, has some sponsorship. So I don't believe it would be a problem to go to like the forum at NADP. It was not a problem for me to go to the HDA conference because they sponsored my travel to speak, which I actually think it went pretty well. They seemed happy. So we just have to kind of see one at a time.
Yeah, that one's sponsored. Yeah.
I know,
Yeah.
but there was a RIF, reduction in force at ADH with some of the, losses of funding and stuff. So I think it was 30 people.
Hey, John, the back page of the second page?
Yeah.
Is this reflective of what
The front and the statute.
yeah, but is the back page reflective of what the application form is going to look like?
Yes, we would fill out, my anticipation would be that we would have almost like what we'd set up on the other one is, here's the identifying information for like who the manufacturer is, who the contact is, what your permit number is. And I actually think we're going to find some manufacturers that are marketing drugs here that have never bothered to get registered with us, which is a whole violation in and of itself. And then it would almost be like if they want to do it per drug, they could do it just like this. But on the other one, we almost set up like a either fillable form or a spreadsheet so that we could actually take aggregate data and start putting it together to digest it.
Are you going to ask them, and I don't think the language is in here, but weren't there like 3 conditions? Rare disease?
Yes.
Well,
Here are the things on the front page. That's what we would be able to consider from the statute, which I reflected on the back page as well. So you get down there, cost, logistics, patient caseload, rarity of the prescription drug that is used, rarity of the disease, because
but not all the LDDs are going to be rare diseases or rare drugs.
and that's the thing is
can you ask on the form if they have orphan drug status or?
We could.
Or
I mean,
what did the statute say as far as, there were three things. It said rare disease.
Rarity of the prescription drug is huge. And other.
I mean, that's what it is. I can go pull the statute for you.
I was
The
gonna,
act. But there's three things about whether or not the pharmacy can be considered.
is this, which act is this?
Should be 630. Okay, if not, I can grab it.
It should.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that. We did put it in the tablet for you to have. Act 630. Cost, logistics, patient caseload, rarity of the prescription drug, rarity of disease or condition, any other factors.
Okay.
Now, I
guess I'm
copied and
misremembering
pasted it.
something. No, I don't doubt that. I was looking in other parts of the act. There were so many that,
Well, and you may be getting confused with 624 because it
Maybe.
had some status about the ability to give a limited use pharmacy permit
Maybe
based
that's-
on criteria. And it did have, I've got a whole nother thing that we had planned for it, but it's on hold. I mean, I'll tell you, my fear on 624 is, and I've expressed this, if at some point the court turns it over after the statute was to take effect, then everyone loses the permits immediately, I guess. I mean, we'll just have to wait and see what the court says. I mean, we had set up a system so that all decisions would be made well in advance of the effect of the statute.
I think I'm thinking of I'm sorry to interrupt you. I think I'm thinking of the PB, not,
Yeah, you're thinking of 624.
I'm thinking of 624.
Yeah, it had the
It
other
had
three
three
things.
things in
Yes.
there for the limited use permit.
Yes.
right?
And this one does have three things that the pharmacy must meet in order to be considered by the manufacturer to have access to drugs.
You said it was in here.
Yep, if you go to the main page, you can get all the way down. It says Act 630.
Is the other act in here, 624?
No, it's not. It is. I can go pull it though,
Nope, I can,
since we can't do anything with it.
but this isn't tied in with Act 624. This is tied in with Act 630.
Well, so this is only about 630. If they were both active, there are aspects of 624 that would lead to 630. So if you are saying you have a limited distribution drug, and that's why you need an ongoing permit as a pharmacy, then we would also want to, at that point, engage with the corporation that makes it, the manufacturer, and say, this pharmacy is saying they have a limited distribution drug, so manufacturer, who all has access to it? And on this other Act 630 deal, are you intending to have a limited distribution network continuing that you want the board to give you approval for, or are you opening it up as required by the Act? So they do go a little bit hand in hand, but it's kind of odd. I mean, there are pharmacies that say we have a couple hundred limited distribution drugs, and you look down the list and you go, every community pharmacy in the state has access to half of this. So some of it doesn't really appear to be limited distribution.
Yeah, here it is.
But
What I was hoping to see, and this is again related to
but if
624.
it's 624, Brian,
Are they
we're not
request-
talking about 624.
I know.
We're not talking about 624.
I know. I see the part that I was thinking
Okay.
about.
Yeah.
Okay. This looks good to me.
Nobody else here? Hey, y'all want to take a break until next person shows up?
Sounds good.
All right, we'll take a break. That one.
Over the next thing.
The forms, you get First.
Ms. Rice.
Back up from that. It'll work. Should be tab 7.
Who got the name?
Rice. Rice.
Yeah,
Oh,
we say Rice. First name.
I think it's Ramaj. I'll ask.
All right, thank you. You go first.
Yeah. How are you doing, Miss Rice?
Hey, how you all?
Is it Ramaj?
Ramaje.
Ramaj, okay. I'm John Curtley. I'm the Director of the Board of Pharmacy. I'm going to tell you kind of who you're talking to at this table and a couple things about this procedure this morning. First of all, on this side of the table, we are staff members here at the office. Myself, Dr. Brenda McCready is our Assistant Director, and Miss Ashley Vales is our legal counsel, our attorney here in the offices. On the other side, you have 4 pharmacy board members that are decision makers for you today. We have Dr. Clint Boone, Dr. Lenore Newsom, who is the chair of our informal committee, Dr. Brian Jolly, and Dr. Rodney Richmond. In this, we are here today to talk about your pharmacy technician application. You filled one out and you told us that something might come back. And thank you, first of all, for being forthright and telling us that. In a moment, I'll turn it over to Ms. Vales to give us an overview of your application, and the board members are going to want to talk to you about that. At some point, they'll come up with some decision. Since this is an informal conference, you could either agree or disagree with whatever it is they come up with. If you agree with it, we go forth with what they ask us to do and proceed forward. If you disagree, it's not a decision you have to make sitting right there today, but it's kind of a decision you could say, forget about this and walk away, or you could request a formal hearing before the full board at a later date. The full board is all 8 board members, or however many of them can come, a hearing officer, a court reporter, everybody gets sworn in, and it's just a more formal procedure, kind of like when you go to court versus us talking back and forth across the table today. So I always ask, do you know why you're here today?
Yes, sir.
You have any questions about how this works?
Not at the moment.
Okay, and that's a great way to put it. I realize you've never been in that seat before. If you have a question during this process, by all means, wave your hands, get our attention, and ask any questions you've got, and we'll do our best to help answer them.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ms. Vales?
We have brought Ms. Rice in for consideration today. As Dr. Kirtley said, she did disclose that there would be an arrest on her background check, and it was from July 30th of 2022. She was arrested and charged with fleeing, possession of controlled substance, driving on a suspended driver's license, no registration, no insurance. She went to court on July 12th, 2023. She was convicted on the amended charge of possession of instrument of a crime and no registration and no insurance, and then was sentenced to fines and court costs.
Hey, how are you?
Doing fine. You want to tell us in your own words what this was all about?
The incident that took place started off as a traffic violation. I was driving home from work and I was stopped by a sheriff deputy. So when the deputy pulled me over, I was over on Dixon Road and it was like in a curve. So before he got out the car, he got on his microphone and I didn't hear him well. So it was a misunderstanding. I thought he told me to pull over at the nearest exit that's also on Dixon Road as well. So as I pulled back over, because I stopped for him once and I drove off and I pulled over to the exit. That's when everything turned left. So he told me to get out the car. He searched my car. He took me in. He told me what he's going to charge me with and whatnot. He did find a substance in the car. At the time, I was working at the juvenile and at the prison, so it wasn't mine, but since it was in my possession, I was the one that was charged for it. So after then, they took me in. I stayed there a couple of hours and they OR'd me out, gave me my court date. I ended up getting a lawyer and my lawyer got every charge dropped except the possession instrument of crimes. So that what took place.
Okay, so you were charged with fleeing when you were just
Yes.
moving to a safer area?
Yes, I was just going to a more safer area. I was not speeding at all. I was actually going the speed limit while he was behind me. So, and when the officer pulled me over, he asked me why I kept going. I said, well, officer, I didn't hear you well. It was a misunderstanding. I thought you said pull over here.
So what was in the car?
He did find marijuana. I do not smoke. I did have a boyfriend that left his marijuana in my car. It was a small little bud, and I was penalized for it because it was in my car.
Your boyfriend wasn't in the car, it was just you coming home from?
Just me. I had just drove away from Harrisburg, Arkansas, and I stopped by with him, and I took him a couple of places, and then I was heading home.
Okay. Did you have any smoking device or anything with the blunt? Okay.
Okay, what brings you to the world of pharmacy?
Honestly, what wants me to join the world of pharmacy is because I feel like this will be an opportunity to help me get in the healthcare field. I was actually in school for nursing, so my goal was while I'm in school and college and nursing, if I can get where I can learn something that's in the medical field that will help me learn better while I'm in the nursing program. So everything I do is so it can make it easier when I get to my main goal that I'm heading to. So I feel like it would be a good spot to start so I can learn different medicine. You know, when you're in school, it is hard to learn those different types of medicines and what they're for. Me, I'm also more so of a hands-on person. So I feel like there would be a good opportunity for me to learn it in a tactical way.
Or you could like learn and become a pharmacist. That's another option for you. Okay, does anyone else have any questions of this candidate?
Are you currently in nursing school or it's a goal?
I was enrolled. I had to drop out. I dropped out when COVID hit. So when COVID came, my resources, I was going to University of Little Rock. My resources was the school library and also the public library. You know, once COVID came around, everything shut down. So I had to withdraw for school. I also went back like a year and a half ago. I went a semester. I owe EULA right now is why I'm waiting to enroll again. So once I finish paying them off, I can continue, I can pursue. I'm a junior right now, so I don't have long to go.
All right, so you said that this marijuana was not yours. You weren't using marijuana. Have you ever used marijuana?
I did when I first got in college,
Okay.
because it was like 2017,
And you don't have a medical marijuana card?
sir.
Okay.
Anyone else?
This says that you were driving, you had a suspended driver's license. Can you kind of explain why your license was suspended?
My license was suspended because of traffic violations. So I had speeding tickets located in Pulaski. So once they put a warrant out for your arrest, they suspend your license. So my license was suspended until I went and got my new court date. But I cleared that and they gave me back my license.
No pending charges for anything else at all?
Oh, no, I don't have any penny charges.
Okay, what's the will of the board?
Were you gonna say something?
I'd make a motion to approve.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes. You're gonna get your license. And you go forth and you do well.
Thank you, thank you.
Hmm?
Thank you all.
Good luck.
Have a good day.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Absolutely as well.
Marks.
Okay. Tab 8.
Good, how are you?
Ms. Sparks, who'd you bring with you?
This is Gwendolyn. This is my pharmacist.
All right. Gwendolyn, welcome back to the board. I know you've been in our offices before. Alyssa you've never sat in that chair before.
I have not.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you a couple things about our procedure, who you're talking to, and kind of how this works. So first of all, on this side of the table, we are all staff members here at the Board of Pharmacy offices. Myself, Dr. Brenda McCready, who is our Assistant Director, Ms. Ashley Bells, who is our Legal Counsel and Attorney. On the other side of the table, we have 4 of our pharmacy board members. We have Dr. Clint Boone, Dr. Lenore Newsom, who's the chair of our informal conference, Dr. Brian Jolly, and Dr. Rodney Richmond. In this process, we have an application for a pharmacy technician permit. On that application, you told us that nothing was going to come back, but we did have something which the board members are going to want to talk to you about, and also talk to you about why you didn't let us know. And in this process, at some point, they're going to come up with a suggested vote of what they would want to do. Whatever they come up with, since it's an informal conference, you can either agree or disagree with. It's not something you have to necessarily decide right now while you're sitting in that chair. If you agree with it, then we go forth with whatever they ask us to do as staff and proceed. If you disagree, you kind of have 2 choices. One is to say, forget this, walk away from it. I'm not worried about it. The other choice would be to request or to appeal to have a full hearing before the full board at a later date. The full hearing is a little bit more formal process. It'd be all 8 board members. Instead of me explaining all this, we'd have a hearing officer, we'd have a court reporter. Everybody gets sworn in as witnesses, and it's just very procedurally, I would hate to say pedantic as a negative term, but it's just very structured in the way that it works.
Sure.
So along those lines, I always ask, do you know why you're here today?
I do.
Do you have any questions about how this works?
I do not.
All right. If you change your mind and you have a question, if you need to have a sidebar with your pharmacist here or anything else, just let us know that you need a timeout or wave your hands that you want to ask us a question. We'll try to help answer any questions you have.
Perfect. Thank you.
Ms. Vales?
We brought Ms. Sparks in for consideration today. In her application, she marked no, that she'd never been arrested or cited or charged with anything, but something did come back on her background check from 2014. On November 14, 2014, she was arrested for possession of drug paraphernalia. On November 17th, the criminal case was continued to be no prost if there was no further problems. And then it was no prost shortly after that on November 25th. And again, she did not disclose the arrest. That was what brings her in here today.
Tell us in your own words what happened.
Sure. So this happened back in 2014. I was freshly 18. So it was, you know how teenagers go, probably not the best decisions of my life. At that point in time, I had come in contact with my mother, who I was not raised with. I didn't necessarily know her due to reasons of her own that were probably also not in her best interest. That being said, that night, I was driving a car that my mother and I shared at the time. I was living with her. I went to pick up some of my friends for a sleepover. I apparently had been sitting in the parking lot for too long. One of the neighbors had called the cops and thought that I was looking suspicious just because I was sitting there for too long. So then they cited a traffic stop on me, and they did find a glass marijuana pipe in the glove box. There was nothing inside of it. My mom had claimed that it was indeed hers. Since I was the one driving the vehicle and my name was also on the vehicle, I ended up with the charges for it. It's definitely not the best decisions of my life, but I am no longer close to my mother. And again, that was 11 years ago. I've definitely changed a lot since then. As far as it not being on the application, I honestly just must have misread. I was looking at that as far as, I guess, felonies or anything like that goes. But yeah, that was my fault.
You see, you're currently working in the pharmacy?
I do. Yeah, I've been there for almost a year, and I am currently working the front desk there.
Mhm.
Great.
Okay. You came along with her? How are you today?
Push hard.
Push hard.
There you go.
Oh, I didn't do that. I'm sorry.
No, yours is already green. Hi, I'm Dr. Gwendolyn Herzig. I'm the pharmacist and owner of Park West Pharmacy. Alyssa has been with our pharmacy since last October, so she is coming up on a year. She is our cashier, our front desk person. She handles all of our OTCs and retail. Also, she handles all of our guest relations, and she has been nothing but very pleasant. Even handling our tougher patients, which we all have, she always does it with a smile.
All right, thanks for coming in and speaking up for her. Does anyone else have any questions or comments?
So the pipe was your mother's?
It was. I did take responsibility for it since, like I said, I was driving the vehicle at that time. But it was.
You don't use marijuana?
So I have. I previously essentially was not able to afford insurance for myself up until recently working at the pharmacy. So due to a couple health issues that I do have, I was using it for pain. But I do now have health insurance and I'm now seeing a doctor for that. But I have used in the past, absolutely.
So when was the last time you used marijuana?
Probably up until I saw the doctor. So up until probably about a month ago or so.
You have a medical marijuana card?
I don't any longer, no.
So up until a month ago, you used marijuana.
For pain, yes, sir.
Have you ever had a medical marijuana card?
I have not, no.
So you were using marijuana as a recreational drug?
Essentially, yes, sir.
You realize you can't use marijuana and work in pharmacy in any capacity?
I do understand that, yes, sir.
Any other comments? So why did you quit using then? You said about a month ago. Why did you make a decision to quit using?
I have since, like I said, I've got health insurance and I've gone to see my doctor. Essentially due to that, I am taking care of some of the health problems that I did have. I just don't essentially deem it necessary. Taking the proper steps, I guess I could say.
When did you complete your application?
It's been a few months now, I want to say.
On May 2nd.
And there is that question on the application regarding drug use as well. Currently engaged in the unlawful use of controlled substance. That was a question at the bottom on the second page of the application, and she marked that no.
Yeah. Testified she was using marijuana up till a month ago. That's a forged application. My concern is not the 2014 issue. '15 issue. What are y'all's thoughts?
I mean, Dr. Herzig, were you aware of that prior to coming in here?
I was not.
Because I know it puts you in a terribly awkward position as a DEA registrant, even though that's a weird federal state potential conflict.
No, absolutely. I will say that, yeah, that is an awkward position. But also for the fact that she has taken necessary steps of getting a PCP just recently. I've gotten others things diagnosed and taken care of. And so, yes.
I think staff's concern would be she filled out an application, it's not honest. Second, if the issue with the PCP goes away, does she go back to smoking marijuana again because she doesn't have her medication? What happens? I mean, that would be staff's concern.
Well, I'm not so sure we can make decisions based on what we think might happen. But I think we can make decisions based on what we have seen. So we see the completion of an application prior to a period of time that was the last reported use of what constitutes an illicit recreational substance because there was no medical marijuana card. It would be a different issue if they had used it pursuant to medical marijuana card, agreed to give it up. But that's not what happened here. And we've got non-disclosure of a prior charge and non-disclosure of use of recreational controlled substance. Well, either I would vote to deny the application or I'd be willing to turf it to a full board hearing, but she can take it to that level if that's what she wants.
Having some more time there between stopping using it, making sure that that's lapsed too.
Okay, could we allow her to withdraw her application?
Unless we want to kick it to a full board. Do you understand the kind of the quandary we're in now? Because you didn't mark, correct me if I'm wrong, she didn't disclose the arrest, right? Or she did disclose the arrest?
Yes.
Yeah, and I think on the first one, historically although it's an issue for us, we've given some grace around that. But on the last question, based on your testimony, and that wasn't a truthful answer to that question. And we're also in the quandary of, you can't smoke marijuana and work in a safety sensitive position like a technician. So it's just a tough spot for us to be in. That last part of your testimony was very, I think, damaging for the application process decision today.
Would you like to withdraw your application? That way we will not have to deny it. Do y'all need to speak with each other? Sure. Okay.
I will agree with the withdrawal.
Okay,
And I don't think it's necessarily no forever. But I think we would be in a position where we'd have to say no today.
And if you come back in somewhat recent future, short period of time, in other words, we're probably going to ask for drug testing.
We go ahead and do a voluntary monthly drug test where in coordination with her current PCP for like over the next 6 months. Would that be a little bit more fruitful?
Wouldn't hurt, but it would
Okay.
not convince us to give a license today.
Oh, I know, by no means. So, but I think it
Yes,
would
that
be better for a future application.
Right.
Yes. it
Right.
would be.
Okay, perfect. Well, we appreciate y'all's time and consideration to the matter. And we will see you guys back probably, well, hopefully maybe not see you back, or maybe.
So we have the next official board meeting is October, and then the next one will be February. I don't know if there'll be an in between.
will we have an informal between?
Maybe before February, not probably before October.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, between October and
Yeah.
February.
I don't know that October would be quick. That might be a little quick because it's only 2 months from now.
Oh, no, for sure. We'd probably be looking at towards like February of next year, if anything. But that being said, it would go to another informal hearing if she checked those particular boxes again, right? Or if she does check those particular boxes.
I would defer to if you guys would be willing to listen to this again in informal, or if you would tell staff to next time it comes to take it to formal.
I would be, I would be,
we-
I would be comfortable with an informal again.
Okay, that's
Well,
helpful for us.
Unless y'all have.
But just keep in mind that we now have foreknowledge. We're going to be relying on interpretation of drug testing. I mean, it's going to a higher level of evidence now. But I agree. I think we could certainly make that decision at an informal level.
Perfect. Then I think we will, with Alyssa agreeing, I think we'll probably take those necessary steps and we will probably just see you guys back probably early next year.
Right, sounds good.
Sounds
All right,
good.
thank y'all
All
for
right.
y'all's time.
Thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you.
in.
Thank you.
Hope we do see you again.
Guys, my apology for having to step out a couple times, but I've been called to another meeting I will have to attend at 1 o'clock. If possible, I will call in, but it looks like I will be occupying another meeting. So Brenda doesn't even know this other than seeing part of one text. So I'm gonna try to prep staff real quick for the 3 things that we have at 1. If I'm able to call in, I will. No, it's since it's a public hearing on a rule change, we don't bring in a hearing officer, but I've got a whole procedure and everything. Yes. Yeah.
Who's gonna preside over the meeting?
Well, Debbie could if she wants, or you could, because the only thing that you really need to preside is calling the meeting to order, roll call, and then the vote on the potential rule change, if there's any suggested changes. So far, I've only had 1 letter at all on this. I've had people give me positive comments. I have not had any negative comments. And so with like that 1 letter will be entered into the record. I've had no request for any additional changes or anything like that. That's where, if something convoluted with that happens, I'll have my phone with me. If I can step out, I will, but I don't know that I'll be able to. So. No, it's 1 packet.
Okay.
So if there was one section that you would want to pull out or not proceed with, you could have the vote to pull out a section, but I've had no 0 negative comments or anything else on it. So if you guys have any questions on any of it, I'm happy to answer them now. We're on a record anyway, but it's not part of necessarily the public hearing on it. But we vetted them pretty thoroughly.
Almost as good as a text and say,
No, just the one from Walmart that was positive. I've had several, the funny thing is, because we've been working on this, since last year, and it was, partially public requests, and the board had kind of discussed previously at the meeting to proceed with it. The main thing is everybody's been like, oh my gosh, when is that going to happen? Can I go ahead and do it now? And we've had people saying, well, now that it's filed, can I have 4 tapes? Like, no, it has to get through process for review for you guys and for anybody that's watching. You know, if the board votes on it today to basically continue with the process to adopt as presented, my next steps are to summarize any public comments, submit that to BLR, to request to be put on ALC Rules Committee, and then ALC, which would be towards the end of September, middle to end of September. I think it's September 19th or so. And if we make it through that process successfully, then you can do the final filing for an effective date, which we anticipate to be the beginning of October. I don't know if it would actually be October 1st or if it would be sometime in the beginning, but that's our best case scenario at this point.
So if we were to even change one bit or two,
no, if it is a non-substantive change, like if you find that there's a word misspelled or a comma missing, those are non-substantive changes. I have to add some other filing to show the non-substantive changes. Substantive changes are a whole different issue, and it gets difficult to determine what the process is, but it may open it back up.
you're right. I've got my Old Testament and stuff.
Yeah.
I do have, this is not a change, just clarification. Always a question I've always had. For the pharmacy continuing education. Talking about certification,
What-
about BPS.
What page you on?
I'm on 39.
Okay.
Question, so certifications ordered by BPS during any biennium. So that's at the time when the certificate is actually issued.
Yes.
So then the rest of the time, we have to get 100 hours.
Yeah.
Of CE. That can count as CE. What this is saying is that if I get my BPS certification issued in October.
Mhm.
then
You can count it.
Biennium, all I can do is just point the certificate and say, I got that, I'm good.
Yes, but the funny thing is, because you got the certificate, I don't know that I have ever seen anyone that got their certification that wouldn't have also had their CE. But you could use that.
Take it by examination.
I know, but that's the first time. But most people, even if they took it by examination, in my observation, and I'm sure I'm wrong in their examples, they got so much CE as part of their other training and everything else, they would have met anyway.
Is that, so those are good for 7 years? BPS certification is good for 7 years.
But you can count it the biennium you obtain it.
Is it just a one time or can you do it on recertification as well?
I think we have allowed recertification because of the biennium
7
that you
years.
did you were awarded that certification again.
Yes. Well, you either have to re-exam
Or you have
or
to
you
have
have to
CE.
meet a lot of CE requirements it's a moot point if you meet the CE requirements, but if you
Yeah.
just do it by exam, you just go in and take the test.
Well, except you could get your 100 hours of CE, but you've got 7 years to get it.
Yeah.
So you could have gotten your CE towards that certification, but not in in this current biennium. So you could do both.
So on a recert, if they just get awarded a certificate.
I don't know. I mean, did we even have anybody in the last
I was gonna
4
say,
years?
I can't think of a time that somebody called about the BPS that they didn't have all of their CE also. And I've
That
been
would
doing
be-
this
Yeah.
For example.
Yeah.
for 10 years.
I mean, most of the pharmacists,
They probably don't know that.
well, most of the pharmacists I see that are getting BPS certification and that are keeping it, like, they are way over the minimum qualifications for everything.
I do
Like,
know some exceptions to that.
I know there was 2 bienniums in a row that I had over 200 hours of
Yeah.
CE per 2-year period.
Yeah.
So. But I just wanted to clarify that just for educational purposes.
like
for class.
I mean, I had a question from BLR on one of the pages about deleting the board saying that we would tell what states participate in something and what the fees were. And the reason for the deletion was we don't control that. It's, I think it starts like page 27, score transfer requires applicant to test candidate and athletic score transfer before the administration date and athletes. Like that's an NABP policy about how they give score transfers. So we don't need it in our rule because if they change it, then we have conflict and it will cause problems. And then on top of page 28, we had language that the Arkansas State Board of Pharmacy will provide information related to states participating. And we just point you to NABP or the state. If a specific state changed their participation status and we don't know it, we don't need to have incorrect information. NAPLEX fees, that's part of the test. It's not something that we set. And Arkansas fees are on any application you fill out. So we're just deleting unnecessary language.
So John, is the first handful of pages just a summary of all the changes, and then the
Yes.
last part is if it's redlined, it's the change?
It's the change, it's
Okay.
the deletion or addition. So the first one tells you what pages in the giant packet of rules you would actually have changes on. So if you go say, oh, there's a change on page 16 and 17 for practice after an activity, that was based on board feedback and requests that you got somebody that's been out of practice for 20 years, 60 hours of CE and 240 hours of just getting a pharmacist to sign off. Like you would want to visit with them to make sure there's a legitimate plan. And it may be, we've had the board before say, I don't think 60 hours of CE is sufficient for 20 years out of practice. So it's making someone who's been out for an extended period of time, they would have to come visit with the board about how they're going to re-enter. I believe that's very similar to what medicine does, where you might have a supervising physician for a period of time and they basically set that up. If you've been out for 2 years, it's nothing extra. But after that first page, you see these are the descriptions provided for public consumption and BLR for legislative purposes of on page 16 and 17, practice after an activity. It's, chapter 17, Code of Arkansas rules, subsection 160, which is Board of Pharmacy, subpart 203, practice after an activity, and it explains what exactly is happening in that subsection.
What would be your ETA, assuming these all get approved today, which?
Beginning of October.
October?
Yeah. Because I have to put everything in a next step package for BLR for them to actually accept the results of the public comment period. And then if I get that before the 15th of this month, they should put me on the calendar for legal counsel review next month, which is like the 17th, 18th, 19th of September. So you have a subcommittee there, and then like on Wednesday or Thursday, and then the full ALC will vote on the subcommittee report. And if they want to pull anything out, you have to be there in case they want to pull yours out to discuss it as full ALC council.
Probably looking at mid-October, you said?
I think early October.
Early October?
Yeah.
Another question for clarification, maybe. Requirements for internship training, pages 21 and 22. Is this cleanup or is this stricken for a substantive reason related to support staff?
It is related directly to support staff. So
So the question I have regarding preceptor can't supervise more than one intern.
yes.
So now go ahead.
So what we were doing before the reorganization that was done for all state agencies, we had related rules in Rule 2 for interns and Rule 3 for technicians. But since they're in different subparts, but we've long had a intern ratio of 1-to-1 when working. We give an exemption for if it's part of an educational rotation assigned by a college, and a 3-to-1 tech. So we're changing all of that instead of saying one intern and up to 3 techs to say you have support staff, which is interns or pharmacy technicians. Because the idiocy was if Dr. Boone is by himself at the store and he's here in Little Rock, if he has 2 interns, only one of them can work as an intern. The other one would need a tech permit because of the ratio rule. And that has not made sense to me since I was an intern.
So we have our interns do both. We have them get a tech.
You won't have to do that.
Would this eliminate the need for them to get a tech permit?
This eliminates any need in the state of Arkansas for an intern to also maintain a technician permit, which should save them money and should save the pharmacies a good bit of trouble having a track of, they have both permits. Today, they're having to be scheduled as a technician because we have an intern schedule. It's
For the intern.
yeah.
This is a proposed rule,
This is proposed procedure that we would follow.
proposed procedure.
Because it does not necessarily require a written
Thank you.
policy, but this is something that if the board adopts this, you understand, and I can hand to other people, like, this is the process that we will use for it.
Okay.
And the last thing is just, financial support for Drug Summit. I mean, I think because of all the prep work we've done with all these individual descriptions and everything, I think there are times when people come and they want to ask a lot of questions about what's going on with rule changes. Like, we haven't gotten questions on this. I mean, I've had a few people say, explain this to me.
I think the
And
summary document does a great job of that, rather than just looking at a red line.
yeah,
Is this all the rule changes you're looking at for this year?
well, no, this is everything that I have been approved to file and have public hearings on.
Okay,
This is all I can talk about.
all the current ones.
All the current ones. We have other rule changes that will be required due to statutory changes and some other cleanup that we've got in the hopper, but we have to wait until we get to certain points to discuss it publicly or bring it for the board. That's all I've got till you guys meet at 1.
Okay,
So
sounds
should
good.
see you at some point this afternoon. Okay, take a break till 1.
Thank you.